Late May 1940. On the beaches of Dunkirk, over 400,000 British, French, and Belgian soldiers are trapped. Backs to the sea, Germans closing in. It looks like the end for the British Army in Europe. How did it come to this? The story starts with the Maginot Line, a massive French fortification, believed to be impenetrable. But the Germans had a new plan: Blitzkrieg, lightning war. Instead of attacking the Maginot Line, German tanks stormed through the Ardennes forest, a route the French thought impossible for armor. The panzers bypassed the defenses, cutting off Allied armies in Belgium. German tanks raced to the Channel, trapping the Allies in a pocket. British and French commanders were stunned. Their plans collapsed under the speed of the German advance. The Germans reached the coast, isolating the British Expeditionary Force and much of the French army. Pushed back to Dunkirk, the Allies had nowhere left to run. The beaches became their last hope, the sea their only escape. But with the German army just miles away, escape seemed impossible. For the soldiers staring at the Channel, it felt like the end of the world. The fate of Britain, and perhaps the free world, hung in the balance. The next move would decide everything. The world watched, expecting disaster. But history was about to take a dramatic turn. The trap was set, but the story of Dunkirk was just beginning. The coming days would test courage, ingenuity, and the will to survive. The beaches of Dunkirk would become the stage for one of history's greatest rescues. Against all odds, hope would flicker in the darkness. The world would soon witness a miracle. But first, the Allies had to survive the trap. The clock was ticking. Dunkirk was on the brink. Just as defeat seemed certain, the German tanks suddenly stopped. On May 24th, Hitler ordered the panzers to halt outside Dunkirk. Historians still debate why. Was it caution, fear of marshy ground, stretched supply lines, or a hope for peace with Britain? Some say Hitler believed the Luftwaffe could finish the job from the air. For 3 crucial days, the tanks waited. This pause gave the Allies a chance they never expected. Furious German generals argued to press on, but the order stood. The halt became one of the war's great blunders. While the Germans hesitated, the British scrambled to launch a desperate rescue. The window was narrow, but it was enough. The fate of an army and a nation hung on this moment of German indecision. The halt order turned a looming disaster into the possibility of a miracle. The race to save the trapped soldiers was on. Dunkirk's story was about to change. With the tanks paused, Britain launched Operation Dynamo, the evacuation of Dunkirk. The Royal Navy sent every available ship, but the beaches were too shallow for large vessels. Soldiers waded into the surf, desperate for rescue. A call went out: any boat that could cross the Channel was needed. Hundreds of civilian boats, fishing boats, yachts, lifeboats answered. Ordinary people braved bombs and bullets, ferrying men from the beaches to waiting warships. The little ships became legends, their courage at the heart of the Dunkirk story. Over 9 days, this improvised fleet rescued more than 338,000 Allied soldiers, far beyond anyone's hopes. The army left behind its equipment, but its core survived. Dunkirk was not a military victory, but a triumph of spirit and unity. The miracle of Dunkirk was born from the bravery of everyday people. Against all odds, the trapped army was saved. The beaches became a symbol of hope. Britain had snatched deliverance from the jaws of defeat. The Dunkirk evacuation came at a terrible cost. To buy time, British and French rearguard units fought desperate, often hopeless battles. At Le Paradis, 99 British soldiers held out until their ammunition ran out. Most were massacred after surrendering. At Lille, 40,000 French troops fought for 4 days, tying up German divisions and allowing more men to escape. These acts of sacrifice slowed the German advance and made the evacuation possible. Rearguard soldiers knew they might not be rescued, yet they stood their ground. Their courage was vital, their losses immense. Without their stand, the miracle of Dunkirk would have been impossible. Many were killed or captured, their stories often lost in the larger narrative. The men saved at Dunkirk owed their lives to these unsung heroes. The rearguard's sacrifice remains a testament to duty and bravery. Their stand gave hope to a nation. Above Dunkirk, a fierce battle raged in the skies. Goering promised Hitler the Luftwaffe would destroy the trapped army from the air. Stuka dive bombers and Heinkel bombers pounded the beaches and ships. Soldiers on the sand felt abandoned, but the RAF was fighting desperately overhead. RAF fighters intercepted German bombers before they reached Dunkirk, often out of sight of the men below. Outnumbered, RAF pilots flew mission after mission, taking heavy losses but inflicting even more on the Luftwaffe. The air battle was brutal, but the Luftwaffe failed to stop the evacuation. The RAF's efforts saved countless lives and proved crucial for the coming Battle of Britain. The Spitfire and Hurricane showed their worth against the German Messerschmitts. Göring's boast was shattered. The Luftwaffe's prestige took a blow. The unseen bravery of RAF pilots was as vital as the courage on the beaches. The skies over Dunkirk became a proving ground for the RAF. Their victory in the air helped make the miracle possible. When the last boat left Dunkirk, Britain faced a harsh truth, a massive defeat, with most equipment lost and France collapsing. Yet the nation refused to see it as disaster. The press and government framed Dunkirk as a miracle of deliverance, not a rout. The story became one of unity, courage, and the Dunkirk spirit. Prime Minister Churchill captured this mood in his famous speech, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall never surrender." His words electrified the nation, turning retreat into defiance. The Dunkirk spirit became a rallying cry for the difficult years ahead. It inspired hope and resilience during the Blitz and the Battle of Britain. The defeat at Dunkirk gave Britain the psychological strength to fight on alone. The nation pulled together, believing the impossible was possible. Dunkirk became a symbol of hope in the darkest hour. The myth of plucky underdogs was born. From disaster, Britain forged a new resolve. Dunkirk is haunted by what-ifs. What if Hitler hadn't halted the tanks? The British army might have been lost, leaving Britain defenseless. Without Britain, the US would have had no base in Europe, no D-Day, no Western Front. Nazi Germany could have dominated the continent. The halt order became one of history's most decisive moments. Dunkirk was both defeat and miracle, a military disaster, but a triumph of survival and will. Over 338,000 soldiers were saved, men who would fight in North Africa, Italy, and Normandy. The legacy is complex: sacrifice, horror, and resilience. The Dunkirk spirit became a national symbol of unity in crisis. Even in disaster, hope and defiance can change history. Dunkirk was the end of the beginning, a dark chapter that allowed the fight against Nazism to continue. Its lessons echo through history. The miracle of Dunkirk endures.